So Dwayne The Rock Johnson coined the phrase laying the smackdown. And I remember the first time I ever heard him say it, I burst out laughing. Next thing you know, that phrase just exploded. And the WWE ended up naming one of their television shows SmackDown. It's been on the air now for 20 some years. And you got Raw versus SmackDown. You got video games named SmackDown. It's on t shirts, it's everywhere. But I tell you what, he might have coined the phrase, but Lauren Underwood from Illinois, I think, now has the patent on it because she absolutely laid the smack down on Kristi Noem's Rudy Poo candy ass. And we're going to sit here and we're going to react to this thing in real time. I was going to split it up into clips for y'all, but I would rather just react to it in real time because, man, this was brutal. And this is how you do it. When you have one of Trump's cabinet members in front of you, you have to expose just how unqualified that they truly are and just how clueless they truly are. Because we can sit here all day long, we can talk about their personal lives. That doesn't matter to MAGA. They're booing the new pope because he said God loves everyone and because he said that racism and hatred should be eradicated. They're booing that. So it's never going to do any good to point out that these are terrible human beings. You just got to point out how unqualified they are. And man, does Lauren Underwood ever do just a master class? She absolutely laid the blueprint for how to question someone in Trump's cabinet. So we're gonna bring this up, and I'm just gonna watch it as it goes here. We'll just watch it together, and I'll stop it along the way. Yeah, folks, this one here, this one here is fun to watch. You're gonna enjoy this.
Know whether he has to uphold the Constitution. You, however, have taken a different position, both in your confirmation hearing and when you took the oath of office. You said that you were committed to complying with the Constitution. Do you still stand by that statement?
Absolutely. I believe President Trump
Excellent.
as well.
Let's start with Article 1, which gives Congress and only Congress the power of the purse. No money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law. This administration is freezing, terminating, and even clawing back federal grants and awards that were already signed into law. These are taxpayer dollars that were appropriated by Congress for the specific purposes that we laid out. So, Secretary, let me ask you, do you believe the administration has the authority to subvert appropriations law to freeze and terminate congressional funding?
Okay, before she answers, you can see before she even answers that she's lost. You can see before she even tries to defend herself that she really doesn't know where to go, and it gets worse.
The administration and the Department of Homeland Security used our authorities that we have to evaluate every grant that was in front of us and meet statutory requirements, but also to make sure that they were being spent appropriately.
So, of course, the president is within his authority.
Make sure
Ma'am,
that
this is my time. Thank you so much. Of course, the president's within his authorities to drive policy decisions within the bounds of federal law and the Constitution, but that's not what you've been doing. What I'm asking is whether you believe you have the authority to ignore appropriations law. Do you believe that the Constitution gives the executive branch unilateral authority to withhold funds appropriated by the legislative branch?
We have evaluated grants to make sure if they're being spent appropriately, and work that is underway and was authorized has continued. Other grants that have not been started and have not been authorized or obligated, we have reevaluated. And I think you're talking specifically about grants potentially within FEMA that were non-disaster related grants.
I'm talking broadly, ma'am, and Article 2 does not give the executive the authority to withhold funds, period. And multiple courts have weighed in to agree. Multiple courts have ruled in agreement. Congress controls the power of the purse. That is a fact. That's not a question. That is a fact. And so if the president disagrees with certain spending, Congress passed the Impoundment Act to create a legal process to seek rescissions, and we expect him to follow the law. This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process?
Now, you again, she's so lost right here, and I loved when she said that's not a fact, that's a question. She's trying to bring her back to the point. You'll notice Kristi Noem tries to go all around it, like MAGA always tries to do, but you can clearly see right here she's rattled and she doesn't recover.
Including non-citizens.
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question. Yes or no. Do you believe the Constitution? Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have not conducted an
claiming my time, Mr. Chairman? Okay, Secretary.
See, she can't answer the question. There's no way that she can answer because if she answers, she's She's going to be wrong, and she knows it. So she's just trying to dance and move and try to get out of the way and hope this ends.
I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress
Yes
lays out.
or no?
It is, and
Okay,
the
ma'am,
tools
I'll take
you
that as
give
a
us
no.
on due process
Excuse me,
is
I'm trying,
afforded to.
ma'am, I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your department. And you as its leader should be able to give us a yes or no answer.
She has no
Because
understanding.
judge after judge has ruled that the law is not being followed. Do you believe that the U.S. government has the authority to deport American citizens?
No, and we are not deporting
great.
U.S. citizens.
I'm so happy to hear that you do not believe that the law gives you that authority, because the federal government has no authority under U.S. laws to deport any American citizen. And as I know, everyone viewing this hearing today knows that several American citizens have been deported to
haven't.
date.
That is not
Secretary
true.
Noem, that was not a question. Secretary Noem, that oath that we both swore before taking office was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, not the president, not a political party, the Constitution. And that's what we're going to keep doing here at the Appropriations Committee. Thank you. I yield back.
That was brutal. I mean, if I was the biggest MAGA Republican in the world, I would be like, boy, man, Kristi Noem completely fumbled the ball right there and was completely lost. She had nowhere to go. She couldn't answer. She just had to sit there and look confused because she did not know what it was she was talking about. And I loved how she wrapped it up there at the end by saying, you know, we're loyal. We took an oath to the Constitution, not to the president. And MAGA is the exact opposite. Their oath is to Donald Trump and whatever he tells them to do. And they think that he can govern, like it's the WWE. He can predetermine the results beforehand and put them out there. He can fire whoever he wants to, like he did when he was on Celebrity Apprentice. They really believe that. They believe everything he says, and their oath is to him. If they actually followed the Constitution, first of all, if they followed the Constitution, he would have never been allowed on the ballot, and he would have never been the president again. After January 6th, he would have been toast. That would have been the end of his political career, and it by all means should have. But their loyalty on that day, on January 6th, their loyalty was not to the Constitution. They showed up that day because they were loyal to Donald Trump, and because they believed and they bought into the lies and to the conspiracy theories that he pumped out about the 2020 election. And they have been dedicated to those lies and those conspiracies ever since. And their loyalty to him only gets stronger the harder that we hold him accountable. And as we go forward, folks, the more that we hold Trump accountable and the more that we bring out the Constitution and we pull it up and we say, yeah, I got one on my desk. I read it every day. I study it now more than I ever have because you people just continue to bastardize it to no end. The more that we hold their feet to the fire by the Constitution, the more you will see them terminate and throw it in the garbage because their loyalty is strictly to Donald Trump. But when you're going to sit and question one of his cabinet members and you're going to question whether they have any loyalty to him or to the Constitution, when you're going to bring that conversation, bring out that they don't know what it is they're talking about. Question them about the Constitution. Ask them to recite it. Do that next time. Ask them to recite it. They won't. They can't. I guarantee you Donald Trump's never read it. He didn't even put his hand on the Bible. Why would he? He had no intention of upholding it. He doesn't. He's trying to govern like he's on The Apprentice, and they're all loyal to him, and that's the only reason why that he picked them. So I'm sure in MAGA's world, Lauren Underwood was being mean to Kristi Noem. She was being mean to her, not letting her talk. No, she was exposing the fact that Kristi Noem is not qualified and that her loyalty is not to the Constitution of the United States, which is what she took an oath to, but her loyalty was to Donald Trump. And I'm thankful that Lauren Underwood went at her that way, and I wish more people would whenever you've got RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, any of them. When they're sitting there taking questions, that's how you do it. She just wrote the blueprint. Lauren Underwood gave us the blueprint as to how you do it going forward. Just like Buster Douglas showed everybody how to beat Mike Tyson. Evander Holyfield actually watched the Douglas-Tyson fight before he fought Tyson, and he beat him too, because Buster Douglas showed you how you do it. And you know how you beat a bully? You get right up on top of them, and you don't give them room to punch. You don't give them room to swing at you. you don't give them a space to get their punch off. And that's what we have to do going forward. We have to stay right on top of it. We have to keep pulling the Constitution out every day and quoting it back to them and staying right up on top of them and not giving them room to throw their lies and their distortions at us. It's going to be a long, hard road out of this mess we're in, but we can get there if we all stick together, put our differences aside, and understand that the one thing we have in common more than anything else, we may not agree on it all, folks. I know we don't. But the one thing we agree on is the threat to democracy that MAGA poses, and we want to see democracy restored, and we want to see people have faith in their democracy and faith in their government again. And it's going to take a long time for us to get there, but we can if we'll continue to put in the work.